The ultimatum. The message arrived during standard shift rotation aboard the HSS Perseverance. One moment, the bridge hummed with routine activity, crew members exchanging reports and running diagnostics. The next, every screen flashed with the same symbol, a constellation of 7 stars encircled by an ancient script no human translation matrix could fully decode. Captain Elena Reyes recognized it immediately. Every ship captain in human space knew that emblem. The sigil of the Ascended Council, the self-appointed arbiters of galactic law. "Play the message," she ordered, her voice steady despite the sudden tension in the air. The main view screen flickered, and a being materialized, tall and slender with skin like polished obsidian, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern staring unblinkingly at them. It was a Vurian, one of the eldest spacefaring races and a founding member of the Council, Captain Elena Reyes of Human Systems Ship Perseverance. The Vurian spoke in flawless, unaccented English. "The Ascended Council summons you to appear before the 7 judges. You stand accused of violating Protected Zone Delta 9 during your engagement with Krell forces. You will proceed immediately to Nexus Station at the coordinates now being transmitted to your navigation systems." The screen went blank for a moment before the Vurian's face returned. Refusal to comply will be taken as admission of guilt. The judgment will then be carried out in absentia. The transmission ended. In its place, a set of coordinates appeared on the main screen, pulsing insistently. "Well," First Officer Thomas Alvarez broke the silence. "That's unexpected." Elena turned to her communications officer. "Open a secure channel to Fleet Command. Priority Alpha." While they waited for the connection, navigator Sarah Chen pulled up information about Nexus Station's location. "It's a 4-day journey at maximum FTL, Captain. On the outer edge of Sector 12, near the Galactic core." Elena nodded, then faced the view screen as Admiral Weizong's stern face appeared. "Captain Reyes." The Admiral's expression was grim. "We've received notification of your summons." "Orders, Admiral." Wei sighed, suddenly looking older than his 60 years. "This isn't just about the Perseverance, Elena. The Council has simultaneously issued similar summons to 5 other human warships, all on different pretexts, but all demanding immediate appearance before the 7 judges. They're targeting our defense capabilities," Elena said, the realization dawning on her. "That's our assessment as well." Wei glanced off-screen, lowering his voice. "No human vessel has ever been summoned before the judges and returned intact. The Council has historically used these trials to neutralize emerging powers they deem threatening. Then why should we comply at all? Because refusal gives them the legal pretext they need to declare humanity as a whole in violation of galactic law. It would authorize any Council member species to take military action against us." Elena pressed her lips into a thin line. "So we're damned if we do, damned if we don't." "Not necessarily." The Admiral's eyes hardened. "Officially, you are to comply with the summons and maintain diplomatic protocols. Unofficially." He paused. "This is an opportunity. No human has ever seen the inside of Nexus Station. We need intelligence, their capabilities, their weaknesses. You want me to gather intelligence while being put on trial. I want you to survive, Captain, and to bring back information that might help humanity survive what's coming. The Krell attacked our colony unprovoked. You responded within the parameters of engagement protocols. The fact that they're using this incident suggests larger motives." After the call ended, Elena gathered her senior staff in the briefing room. The ship's emblem, a phoenix rising from ashes, hung on the wall behind her. "I won't sugarcoat this," she began. "We're heading into what may well be a trap. The Council has existed for millennia. They'd eliminated entire species they deemed disruptive to galactic order." Chief Engineer Raj Patel raised his hand. "Captain, what did we actually do? The Krell attacked the Terran colony on Proxima II. We responded. The protected zone they reference was established 50 years ago, before humans achieved interstellar flight." Security Chief Leila Martinez answered. The borders shifted 3 times in the last decade alone. The latest change wasn't even properly filed with non-council races. Elena nodded. Exactly. We have evidence of the Krell attack and our legitimate response, but that might not matter. To the council, we're newcomers who don't know our place. She looked around the table at her senior officers. The Perseverance's crew represented humanity's best, diverse, resourceful, and unwaveringly determined. Whatever happens, I need everyone at their best. Raj, I want the engines ready for anything. Sarah, plot every possible escape route from Nexus Station. Lila, security protocols at maximum. As the meeting concluded, Navigator Chen lingered. Captain, I've been studying the star charts around Nexus Station. There's something odd about that region. What kind of odd? Stars that should be visible aren't. As if something's obscuring them. Elena frowned. Keep looking into it. Quietly. The next 4 days passed with tense efficiency. Off-duty, crew members spoke in hushed tones about the summons. Many recorded messages for families back on Earth and the colonies. In her quarters, Elena reviewed everything known about the Ascended Council. Frustratingly little for an organization with such power. Established over 10,000 years ago by the 7 eldest spacefaring races, it had grown to include 63 member species. Humanity, with barely a century of faster-than-light travel to its name, had repeatedly been denied even observer status. On the final approach, Elena stood on the bridge as the Perseverance dropped out of FTL. The sight before them silenced everyone. Nexus Station hung in space like a massive wheel, its outer ring at least 30 kilometers in diameter. Spokes connected to a central hub that pulsed with energy. Ships of various designs orbited or docked at the outer ring, representing dozens of species. Life signs? Elena asked. Thousands, replied Science Officer Aiko Nakamura. Maybe tens of thousands, multiple species. The station itself, I'm getting strange readings. Parts of it seem to exist partially in higher dimensions. Communications Officer Miguel Santos straightened suddenly. Captain, we're being hailed by multiple vessels. Council ships? No, sir. Independent traders, diplomatic vessels. He hesitated. They're warning us to turn back, saying no human warship has ever left Nexus Station intact. Elena squared her shoulders. Open a channel to Nexus Station. A voice answered, deep and resonant. Human vessel Perseverance. Proceed to docking bay 17. The 7 judges await. As they approached the designated bay, a sleek vessel with crystalline protrusions along its hull cut across their path, forcing Chen to adjust course. Through the view screen, Elena could see alien faces watching from the other ship, their expressions unreadable. Species identification, she asked. Eldari, Martins answered. One of the newer council members. Achieved FTL about 300 years ago. Elena's jaw tightened. Record everything from this moment forward. We document it all. She turned to face her crew, seeing the tension in their postures, but also their resolve. The Perseverance didn't earn its name by backing down. They expected us to refuse this summons, to give them an excuse. We won't play into their hands. The massive docking bay doors parted like the maw of some ancient creature, revealing darkness beyond. Take us in, Elena ordered. Slow and steady. Let's show them humans know how to make an entrance. The Perseverance moved forward, battle scars from past engagements gleaming under the harsh lights of Nexus Station. Its human crews stood at their stations, chins lifted in defiance. Behind them, the docking bay doors closed with finality, sealing the fate of the human warship that dared to challenge the judgment of the Ascended Council. Defiance rising. The docking clamps seized the Perseverance with unexpected force, causing the entire ship to shudder. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as Captain Elena Reyes steadied herself against her command chair. Status report, she ordered. Chief Engineer Raj Patel's voice came through the comm. Those aren't standard docking mechanisms, Captain. They've locked onto our hull with some kind of energy tether. They're also scanning us. Deep scans that are bypassing our shields somehow. Can they access our systems? Not yet, but they're trying. I've activated our highest security protocols. Before Elena could respond, a message appeared on the main screen. Captain Rice and senior officers will present themselves at the Hall of Judgment in 1 hour. No weapons permitted. Raj, you have the con, Elena said. If anything happens to us, with respect, Captain, Raj interrupted. The message specifically requested senior officers. All of us. Elena nodded grimly. Commander Park will have command of the ship. Maintain full alert status. As they prepared to disembark, Elena received a notification of an incoming transmission. From Earth. On a secure channel that shouldn't have been possible this deep in Council space. The screen flickered to show Ambassador Sophia Chen, humanity's representative to the Interstellar Diplomatic Courts. Captain Reyes. Chen's expression was grave. I've managed to arrange passage to Nexus Station. I'll be arriving within the hour. Ambassador. How did you? I called in every favor I've accumulated in 20 years of diplomacy. When I heard about the multiple summons, I knew this was about more than border violations. Chen lowered her voice. This isn't just a trial, Elena. It's theater. The outcome was likely decided before you received the summons. So we've heard. What's your advice? Be respectful but unyielding. And watch for Hierarch Zorban. He's the Vurian prosecutor and has 3 of the 7 judges in his pocket. When the time came, Elena and her senior officers followed a twisting corridor that seemed to defy normal geometry. The walls pulsed with faint bioluminescence, creating the unsettling impression they were walking through a living organism rather than a space station. They emerged into a vast chamber that appeared far larger inside than the station's exterior dimensions should allow. 7 massive thrones arranged in a semicircle, each held a being of different species. Below them sat hundreds of representatives from worlds across the galaxy, watching with expressions ranging from curiosity to open hostility. The captain and officers of the human warship Perseverance announced a tall, willowy being with translucent skin. Elena led her team to the center of the room, where they stood on a circular platform that glowed faintly beneath their feet. You stand before the 7 judges, the announcer continued. The wisdom of ages, the balance of the cosmos, the final arbiters of galactic law. The central judge leaned forward. Unlike the others, this being was completely covered in ornate armor that concealed any hint of its true form. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Captain Elena Reyes, you are accused of violating Protected Zone Delta 9 during conflict with the Krell hegemony, employing excessive force against retreating vessels, and demonstrating evolutionary unfitness for interstellar society. Elena's head snapped up at the final charge. Evolutionary unfitness. That wasn't in the summons. A ripple of murmurs spread through the watching crowd. The judges may consider all relevant matters, said a new voice. A tall, obsidian-skinned Vurian stepped forward. Hierarch Zorban. The human surprise only demonstrates their ignorance of our most basic procedures. Elena felt her temper rising, but kept her voice steady. My crew and I acknowledge the first charge while reserving the right to present mitigating evidence. We reject the second charge completely. As for the third, she paused, looking directly at the central judge. I wasn't aware that evolution was subject to legal judgment. More murmurs, some sounding almost approving. You will have opportunity to present your case, the central judge said. But first, Hierarch Zorban will detail the accusations. What followed was a masterful performance. Zorban showed recordings of the Perseverance firing upon Krell ships within the protected zone. Conveniently missing was any footage of the prior Krell attack on the human colony. Furthermore, Zorban continued, the humans have shown a disturbing pattern of aggression. In just 1 century since achieving faster-than-light capability, they have built more warships than the Eldari did in their first 3 centuries of space travel. Because we needed them, Elena interjected. The Krell have attacked our colonies 12 times in the past year alone. The human speaks out of turn, Zordon said smoothly, another sign of their species' impulsiveness. The central judge raised a hand. Captain Rice will have her turn to speak. The armored head turned toward her. You may present your opening statement. Elena stepped forward, feeling the eyes of hundreds of aliens upon her. She saw Ambassador Chen had arrived, sitting among the diplomatic corps, giving an almost imperceptible nod. Honorable judges, Elena began, I won't pretend to know all your protocols and traditions. Humans are newcomers here, as everyone keeps reminding us. But there are some principles that should transcend cultures, like the right to defend ourselves. She activated a small device in her palm, projecting images above the platform. These are recordings from Proxima II, a human colony attacked by Krell forces 12 days ago. Note the civilian targets. Note the use of weapons banned under the Council's own Sentient Rights Accord. Zordon started to object, but Elena continued. We pursued the Krell into the protected zone because they were using it as a sanctuary after attacks. We regret the technical violation, but not the protection of our people. Elena looked around the chamber. As for our evolutionary unfitness, I wonder how many species here were judged for their fitness when they first reached the stars. Or is this a new standard created just for humans? The room fell silent. Elena could feel her crew standing tall behind her. I challenge the legitimacy of that charge, she concluded, and I respectfully request that this court focus on the specific incident rather than putting my entire species on trial. The central judge was still for a long moment before speaking. Bold words, Captain Rice, but you misunderstand. This court is not merely addressing one incident. Your species' very right to maintain a military presence in space is what we will decide. Elena felt as if the floor had dropped from beneath her. She glanced at Ambassador Chen, whose face had gone pale. This tribunal will reconvene tomorrow, the central judge announced. The human officers will be escorted back to their vessel. As they were led away, First Officer Alvarez whispered, Captain, did they just threaten all of humanity? Elena nodded grimly. It seems we're not just fighting for the Perseverance anymore. We're fighting for Earth itself. Back aboard their ship, Elena called an emergency meeting with Ambassador Chen joining them. They're not just putting us on trial, Elena said. They're putting all of humanity on trial. This was their plan all along, Martine said angrily. Use border incidents as an excuse to disarm the entire human race. The question is why now? Alvarez asked. Chen cleared her throat. Because we're advancing too quickly for their comfort. I've seen Council intelligence reports. They projected it would take humanity 300 years to reach our current technological level. We did it in less than a century. Captain, Paddle interrupted, there's something else you should know. While you were at the trial, I detected unusual activity in our systems. Something or someone tried to access our defense protocols, specifically the codes that would allow remote deactivation of human fleet weapons. Can you block it? I've put up additional firewalls, but their technology is advanced. Navigator Chen spoke next. Sir, I've been mapping Nexus Station since we arrived. The spatial discrepancies I mentioned, they're not just architectural curiosities. I believe the station houses some kind of massive weapon array, and based on the energy signatures, it could target planets. Elena processed this information, the pieces falling into place. The trial is just for show. They've already decided to neutralize humanity as a threat. What can we do? Alvarez asked. We're one ship against an entire station filled with the most advanced species in the galaxy. Elena's eyes hardened with determination. We fight the way humans always have, by being smarter, more adaptable, and more stubborn than anyone expects. She moved to the ship's tactical display. Raj, can you create a program that would not only block their intrusion, but follow it back to its source? Already working on it. Sarah, how well have you mapped the station? Well enough to identify several key systems, including their main communication array and what I believe is their weapon control center. Elena nodded. Good. And Layla, I need security teams ready to move on my signal. What's the plan, Captain? Ambassador Chen asked. They think this trial is about judging us, Elena replied, her voice steel. By the time we're done, the entire galaxy will know who the real criminals are. The next day, as Elena returned to the Hall of Judgment, her officers were executing the plan they had developed overnight. Using Chen's maps, Martinez led a team through maintenance tunnels to access the station's historical archives. Meanwhile, Paddle's program had successfully traced the intrusion attempt back to a hidden server deep in the station. In the hall, Herich Zorban was continuing his prosecution, now displaying statistics about human military expansion. The gallery watched with a mixture of concern and satisfaction, until every screen in the chamber suddenly changed. Instead of Zorban's carefully selected data, the screens now showed historical records from the Council's own archives, evidence of systematic suppression of dozens of emerging species over thousands of years. Ships destroyed, colonies eradicated, entire civilizations reduced to pre-industrial states, all for the crime of developing too quickly or showing too much independence. What is the meaning of this? The central judge demanded as chaos erupted in the gallery. Elena stood tall. The meaning is clear, Your Honor. This isn't about protecting galactic peace. It's about maintaining the power of a select few species at the expense of everyone else. The screens changed again, now showing the station's weapon systems and targeting data, including the coordinates for Earth and every major human colony. You plan to eliminate us regardless of this trial's outcome, Elena stated, her voice carrying through the suddenly silent chamber. Just as you've eliminated others before us. Zorban was frantically trying to regain control of the systems. This is human deception. They've hacked our archives. We didn't create these records, Hierarch. We merely found them. Elena turned to address the gallery directly. How many of your species have been threatened, coerced, or limited by these trials? How many have lost ships, territories, or development rights based on arbitrary judgments? Murmurs spread through the gathering, growing louder as representatives from dozens of worlds began to speak among themselves. Enough. The central judge rose, its armored form towering over the chamber. These proceedings are suspended. Guards, seize the humans. But the expected guards didn't appear. Instead, Ambassador Chen stood. I just received confirmation, she announced, that the evidence Captain Rice has presented has been transmitted to every council member world and hundreds of non-member systems. The truth about the 7 judges is now known throughout the galaxy. The central judge's voice became a threatening rumble. You have no idea what you've done, human. The council maintains order. Without us, chaos will reign. Perhaps, Elena replied, or perhaps a more equitable system will emerge. One where emerging species aren't punished for their potential. She faced the 7 judges directly. You can attempt to destroy humanity now, but you should know that Captain Rise of the HSS Perseverance was just one of 6 ships summoned. The others received the same evidence we did. They'd been broadcasting to their sectors while you were distracted with us. The judges conferred among themselves, their private communication inaudible to the chamber. Finally, the central judge spoke again. This tribunal is adjourned pending further deliberation. The humans may return to their vessel. As they left the chamber, Ambassador Chen whispered, This isn't over. They won't forgive this humiliation. I know, Elena replied. But we've changed the equation. They can no longer act against us without consequence. Hours later, as the Perseverance prepared to depart Nexus Station, a message arrived, not from the judges, but from a coalition of 27 species, most of them relatively recent arrivals to interstellar travel. Captain Reyes, their spokesperson, said, We wish to express our gratitude for your courage. The Council's methods have oppressed many of us for centuries. Today marks the beginning of a new era in galactic politics, one where humanity's voice will be essential. As the Perseverance pulled away from the station, Alina watched on the view screen as dozens of ships from various worlds formed an escort around them. An unprecedented show of solidarity. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. "We have a lot to report." The human warship that had dared to challenge the Ascended Council moved into formation with its new allies. Its name, Perseverance, never more fitting than in this moment of defiance and hope. Behind them, on Nexus Station, the 7 judges faced a changed galaxy, one where their absolute authority had been irrevocably broken by the courage of a single human captain who refused to bow.